You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 27th of January. India and EU sign mother of all trade deals. India rejects Pakistan's false Operation Sindoor narrative at UN. And Bangladesh activist flags poor representations of minority and women. And now for all the details. India and the European Union on Tuesday agreed on a landmark trade deal, creating a free trade zone. The trade pact comes amid a push by Brussels and New Delhi to open up new markets in the face of tariffs imposed by the United States and Chinese export controls.
India and the European Union finalized a long-pending trade deal, also called the mother of all trade deals, on Tuesday, aimed at deepening economic ties. The deal is expected to significantly lower tariffs on the majority of commerce between the two sides, boosting Indian exports to European countries. It comes amid a flurry of global trade agreements as countries look to expand trade markets against uncertainty in trade relations with the United States. Under the agreement, the EU will eliminate or reduce tariffs on 96.6% of traded goods, while India will cut duties on 99.5% of EU goods over 7 years. The deal is expected to double EU exports to India by 2032, with European companies saving around €4 billion in duties.
और आज हम इसे सिक्योरिटी एंड डिफेंस पार्टनरशिप के जरिए औपचारिक रूप दे रहे हैं। इससे काउंटर टेररिज्म, मैरीटाइम और साइबर सिक्योरिटी में हमारी साझेदारी और गहरी होगी। यह रूल्स बेस्ड इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर के प्रति हमारी साझा प्रतिबद्धता को भी बल देगा। इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र में हमारे सहयोग का दायरा और बढ़ेगा।
India, in turn, will benefit from zero-duty access for key exports such as marine products, textiles, leather, chemicals, gems, rubber, and jewelry. India is also slashing tariffs on alcoholic beverages like wines to 75% immediately from 150%, which would be lowered to 20% gradually. Tariffs on spirits will be lowered to 40%. India will sharply reduce tariffs on cars, bringing them down to 10% over 5 years from as high as 110%, benefiting major European automakers. The deal will be formally signed after legal vetting, expected to take 5 to 6 months, and is likely to be implemented within a year.
We are creating a market of 2 billion people, and this is the tale of two giants, the world's second and fourth largest economies, two giants who choose partnership in a true win-win fashion.
Separately, the EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas during a meeting with the Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, hailed the launch of the EU-India Security and Defence Partnership, describing it as a milestone. She also called for deepening ties across multilateral fora and bilaterally develop their defence cooperation further. She said the signing of the Security and Defence Partnership would deliver concrete results in areas such as maritime security, cybersecurity, and counter-terrorism.
And India once again slammed Pakistan during the UN Security Council open debate by rejecting Pakistan's remarks made on New Delhi's retaliatory action through Operation Sindoor, calling them false and self-serving, and asserted that Islamabad has no locus standi to comment on India's internal matters, especially emphasizing on the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Parvathaneni Harish, made the remarks while responding to Pakistan, stating that the Pakistan representative has a single-point agenda to harm India and its people. Responding to Pakistan's reference to a new normal, Ambassador Harish asserted that terrorism could never be normalized. India, last year in the early hours of May 7th, launched Operation Sindoor, which targeted 9 terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir as a retaliatory response to the April 22nd terror attack in India's Pahalgam.
Mr. President, I now respond to the comments of the representative of Pakistan, an elected member of the Security Council, which has a single-point agenda to harm my country and my people. He has advanced a false and self-serving account of Operation Sindoor in May last year. The facts on this matter are clear. Pakistan-sponsored terrorists killed 26 innocent civilians in a brutal attack in Pahalgam in April 2025. This august body itself called for holding the perpetrators, organizers, financiers, and sponsors of this reprehensible act of terrorism accountable and brought to justice. That is exactly what we did. India's actions were measured, non-escalatory, and responsible, and focused on dismantling the terrorist infrastructure and disabling terrorists.
Balochistan has effectively been transformed into a vast prison, the Baloch Yakjehti Committee has accused as it released its annual human rights report for 2025 recently. BYC representatives claim that more than 1,200 cases of enforced disappearances and nearly 200 alleged extrajudicial killings were documented across the province during the year 2025. The group said the figures reflected only the tip of the iceberg, but was sufficient to describe the rapidly worsening human rights situation in Balochistan. Kech district reportedly recorded the highest number of disappearances, with 339 cases documented during the year. BYC also accused security forces of conducting daily large-scale military operations throughout 2025. The rights group cited the use of anti-terrorism laws to suppress dissent. The report also alleges that the legal system was being used as a weapon against human rights defenders, political activists, and civil society members. The group said 5 of its leaders, including central organizer Maharang Baloch, were currently imprisoned, while others continue to face harassment. And as earthquake hit, residents of Pakistan-occupied Gilgit Baltistan struggle to survive. Anger is mounting over official inaction and stalled relief. Locals accuse the interim POGB government of negligence, as even basic aid has not reached them. Report.
A powerful earthquake that struck Pakistan-occupied Gilgit Baltistan on January 19 has left the Shapur Sun Valley in complete distress, with hundreds of families still stranded and exposed due to the POGB interim government's failure to act. Around 600 households have been affected and nearly 300 homes severely damaged, forcing residents, including children, the elderly, the sick, and nursing mothers, to survive under open skies in makeshift tents amid freezing temperatures and continuous aftershocks. Despite the worsening humanitarian situation, authorities have limited their response to paperwork and formalities, offering no meaningful relief on the ground.
यहाँ पे disaster in a sense, real sense में हुआ है, इसमें emergency declare की जाए और रियासत की जितने भी resources है वो पूरी pull हो जाए, यहाँ पे जितने भी infrastructure है उसकी बहाली हो जाए. ये जो गांव है, ये जो चुपुरसन है, ये ऐसा नहीं है कि लाइक यहाँ पे अभी डिजास्टर हुई है तो हम लोग यहाँ से मूव करेंगे और कभी यहाँ पे नहीं आएंगे. हमारी सबकी डिपेंडेंसी इसी ज़मीन पे है.
Hundreds of families remain stranded and exposed as the POGB interim government fails to provide meaningful disaster relief.
अवामी चुपुरसन यहाँ से जाने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, वो किसी सूरत अपने जगह नहीं छोड़ेंगे. अलबत्ता जो बुजुर्ग है, बच्चे हैं, जो फीडिंग मदर्स है, तो उनको या कोई मरीज है, माजूर है, उनके लिए कोई हमारे लिए बंदोबस्त करें.
Moving on, concerns over political representation are growing in Bangladesh as activists question the commitment of major parties towards rights and representation of women and minorities ahead of the upcoming general election. Bangladeshi rights activist Shaheen Anam says women are deeply disappointed by parties failing to meet even modest nomination promises, despite women making up nearly half of the country's population. She argues that political rhetoric on equality does not translate into actual representation. Bangladesh is slated to hold national elections on 12th of February. The election is seen as a key test for democracy after an interim government led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus took power in August 2024 following weeks of unrest that toppled former PM Sheikh Hasina and left nearly 1,400 people dead.
The women community in Bangladesh are extremely shocked at the way the political parties have treated women. It was agreed in the Reform Commission that at least they will give 5% nomination, but they ended up giving less than 3. BNP has given 10, Jamaat has not given any, and NCP, which came on the platform of anti-discrimination, they gave only 3 nominations. So like women, there is no representation of minorities by the political parties because they are not given any importance. Only it is rhetorical that everybody in Bangladesh have the same right, there's no difference between minority and majority. However, when it comes to giving nomination or when we talk about their representation, none of the political parties have any commitment to that. So the minorities are left unrepresented in Bangladesh.
And Nepal's former monarch, Gyanendra Shah, on Monday began a religious pilgrimage in the Madhesh region. Starting with prayers at the historic Janki Temple in Janakpur, the move has drawn political attention ahead of the country's upcoming March elections. Shah, accompanied by family members, arrived in Janakpur on Sunday evening and visited the temple complex on Monday afternoon. He was greeted by a large gathering of supporters of the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, who raised pro-monarchy slogans and called for the restoration of the constitutional monarchy. After offering prayers at the Janki Temple, Shah walked nearly half a kilometer to the Ram Temple and the nearby Kaladevi Temple to perform additional rituals. The visit comes amid Nepal's transition from the September Gen Z protests towards parliamentary elections. Shah's pilgrimage is widely seen as an attempt to revive influence and royalist sentiment, particularly in Madhesh. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow.